Part 2 of The Author's Universe 28 Piloting. The model, a vessel being xyborn or xybornx, is governed by the greater of the he-roy or she-roy at the helm during the creative process. See the pilots. The race of ideas, the roy of awareness responsive thought, art, from the he galaxy and the she galaxy, were the pilots of the xyborn and the xybornx vessels, and the really orderly inhabitants, roy, are their crew, and they are made from the race of ideas, the roy, of space, time and matter, stam. See the he-roy and the she-roy. The xyborn was built with the he-roy in mind, and the xybornx was built with the she-roy in mind. The race of ideas, the roy of awareness responsive thought, that manoeuvred these vessels on their course through the massive expanding spatial system, the mess, and categorized. Where something exists without the ability to make a choice, the roy exists, and where there is such a thing as choice, in you or in any other creature, the roy are capitalized. Protected. The place where the xyborn and the xybornx vessels were built is very well protected from the rest of what is taking place in the author's universe as a whole. For the part of the author's universe it was being protected from was the massive expanding spatial system, the mess, where anything is possible, but everything is defined and refined, particularly in the xyborn and the xybornx vessels. See built to last. This vessel was built for the long-haul journey through the mess, with the he-roy in mind, whereas the armada of he-roy and she-roy without such a vessel were not. Remember, you, Y-O-U, bullishly pushed. Instantaneously, the armada's fringe limits had been found as an armada in the form of young opposing undesirables. You bullishly pushed the roy back out of their space into the massive expanding spatial system, the mess, where neither survived in accordance to their form and understanding. Roysphere. Roysphere is a world-like environment within the mess, which the xyborn and the xybornx vessels arrived at and inherited as their habitat. Remembering the following. The roy. The roy, all in capital letters, are the really orderly inhabitants which art claimed to have created, having put stam and themselves into an order, bringing into being something new. But like stam, they have no evidence of another dimension than the planes of Roysphere in which they exist. Remember, the author's work. The author's universe is, here, a written and a videographic work, and materially exists virtually as a two-dimensional plane, also referred to as the planes of Roysphere, where the author places letters and pictures, also known as characters, which form the author's universe. The letters forming words, sentences and more. It is the massive expanding spatial system, the mess. See the Watcher. You are the Watcher, and what you recall of what you have read is not what you saw, but what you have thought of. For what you have seen, what you are currently seeing, and what you shall continue to see is a code. The Roy. The xyborn and the xybornx vessels are made of the really orderly inhabitants, the Roy of Homosphere, a very specialized Roy stem and Roy art, created by the harmonious accord of the he and she Roy combined. Remember, the Roy art, the race of ideas, the Roy, with at very least a capital R, believe STEM exist without awareness, responsive thought, such as they do have themselves. Universal edict. And in particular, in all of the Roy and the Roy of choice, there is a universal edict, out of which the spawning ground and ascension can be found, and it is from this that my story begins. Valuation. The Roy of choice had knowledge of the Roy and themselves, and particularly of there being a difference between them, and the valuation system developed, like there might be the value of one kind of order over that of another kind of order, and the value of one was supreme over the choice of another. It all began from here with the sphere. Every world the Roy inhabits is a sphere, more than it is a planet, and there is no place thought of where they do not exist, for the Roy are not a race of beings, but they are the race of ideas that inhabit them and everything else. The complexity. As the xyborn and the xybornx vessels changed in their size, their shape and complexity, the pilot's time and efficiency was more and more placed on their vehicle's manoeuvrability than its build, as its sensory equipment gave cause to investigate new experiences. Jettisoned. By the time these vessels, these almost beasts of a machine, were complete, the only thing that the pilots were fully aware of when piloting were the skills required in their manoeuvrability, as the mother place in which Homosphere existed convulsed, and the xyborn and or xybornx were pushed out and planted in the massive expanding spatial system, the mess. Remember. Jet Station. The vessel was assembled in Homosphere and received all of its needful building materials from Jet Station. But once it was ready to leave, Homosphere convulsed, sending it, along with Jet Station, out into the mess as planned. And a new existence. Like starting a new Word document, the beginning was like a knowable entity, and the Roy, the really orderly inhabitants, who made that entity, had reason to change in their ideas by degree, and as a single entity was convulsed into a new existence.